show you how to get your manual paper patterns into Clo3D. First of all, you need to take a photo. What you need to pay attention to is that your pattern is completely flat. So if your paper patterns have been folded and you're trying to get them flat and they still have the fold, you have a couple of options. You can either with a very low temperature iron your patterns, or you can stick them down. You want to make sure that they're completely flat, because if not, they lose some length or width and they will not give you the correct proportions. The next thing you want to make sure is that your camera or phone, whatever you use, is completely parallel to the floor or the table that you're using where your patterns are on. So you could also stick your patterns to the wall if you have the setup, or if they are on the ground, you could place your phone either from the edge of the table so that you get the correct angle, or you can use a tripod, of course, if you have one that has the 90-degree angle option. So those are the things I would suggest to do. If you just hold your phone, there might be some inaccuracies, so it is really important to take a good photo to get good results. So that's the first thing. And once we have the photo, you save it somewhere on your desktop, wherever you know how to find it again. And you start by creating a rectangle pattern piece. So usually it's a polygon, you just change it to rectangle, click on background, any measurement will work. If you know that you will have like a pants or something bigger, you can start on a bigger square. And once you have that, it doesn't really matter. So now to get our photo in, we're going to go onto this fabric. And then if you have a look at the base color, here's the color, and then you have the option here. So the base color map can be a color, of course, but it could also be a print. So if you click on this 4 little squares, it comes up with this option, and you can actually find the pattern photo that you want to have. So now you will see this, and it's like, oh, this is not my pattern. What does it look like? So why is it split up into many pieces? You go to the edit texture icon, and you can drag it in a correct position. So I only have some pockets here in case you have a long pant or something. Then you can, of course, make your pattern piece bigger so it can all fit on. Sometimes you may have really big pattern piece and still doesn't fit in because maybe the photo is just really big. So you can also, while you're in edit pattern, you can, I wouldn't rotate, you can move this around, but you can also zoom in and zoom out. So you want to stay away from the Y and X angles, because like this I would disturb my pattern, right? Like now it's no longer true to what it needs to be. So only use the diagonal one to make sure proportions stay intact. Okay, next thing. So, and it doesn't matter that I've got it many times, so I'm just going to focus on the one pattern that I need to look at. So now I'm going to use my polygon line, internal polygon line, and start tracing off the first pattern piece. I hold Command to add any smooth points, and then I let go of Command. And you will see sometimes it snaps. So if that is really bothering you, you can either zoom in more, or you can actually change that in your settings as well. And the nice thing is that while you're doing this in Clo3D, you can still move around. So I'm still using my option button to move the screen and all of that. So Command will give you smooth points. Letting go of Command will just give you the sharp points. And then you join it to the first point. You will see it actually snaps to it differently than to the others. Actually, one click is enough. If you double click and you get what I get, I press escape and I'm out of that function. I will also draw in my grain line, because it is quite important to have. And I don't usually draw in the notches. I will actually add notches instead, which makes sense. So here's your notch tool. You can just add them on while you're here, because now you can actually see all those curved points still, the smooth points, that later will disappear in your pattern line. But if you put the notches there already, then you have them. So now you should go ahead and trace all your pattern pieces before you go the next step to actually get it to the right size. So when this happens, it's really annoying for me. So I'm going to go into settings, preferences, and then you have snap to pattern and snap to guide. So now you can see it's a lot easier for me to draw these lines, because it is actually no longer snapping to the guide that is underneath. So the second one is done. Here I did turn my snap to patterns back on, because I do want this to snap to those points that I already have. Okay, so now I'm quickly going to add all the notches. Okay, so now that I have done all of that, what I want to do is I want to turn on my show line length. Gets a bit overwhelming, but we only need to focus on one line. So on your pattern, you measure one line. For example, I could be measuring this line here. So I know from my center front to my notch here, it's 15 centimeters. Or I could be saying, okay, what about this line on my pattern piece? It doesn't matter which one, because they're all in proportion to each other. So you just pick one. Once you have that, I want you to zoom out and focus on that area. And then what you can do is you go into transform pattern, and for example for me, I took this measurement for my center front, and it's actually 17 centimeter. So now I'm going to select my pattern piece and drag it to become bigger. You don't actually need to hold shift, because it doesn't, you cannot actually, if you drag from this angle, you cannot disturb the proportions. So I make it a bit bigger, and you can see now I've gone to 15.33. Now I'm at 16 centimeters, 16.45. So you focus only on the one line. All the rest will stay in proportion to each other. So now I'm 17.14, 17.05. I'm going to be happy with this. I don't like all these measurements, so I'm going to turn this off again, show line length. Now that I know this line here is 17 centimeters, exactly as per my pattern. This might be looking a little bit confusing. What you can do at this point, if you wanted to, you can also bring back the plain fabric, the default fabric, and drop it in here if you feel more comfortable to then trace your pattern pieces. So the next thing is your trace tool. Okay, so if you were to trace the pattern off, you select all lines and go trace the pattern, and you place it to the outside here. It seems to have fixed its arrows, because in the past you could not do that, because it would be confused about how these three lines here form the pattern outline shape. But it looks like it has actually managed to do that, which is great. So trace as pattern, even multiples at the same time. Wow, and this is new, and it's a great feature, I have to say. So there we go, we have all our patterns. You can either leave this here for the moment, but originally you can delete it, because you have got all your pattern pieces now in the correct size. So the important thing is that you scale it to the correct size, comparing it to the measurement of your pattern, and only then you trace off the pattern pieces. So I hope that helps, and you'll get your patterns done quickly.